And this is a competitive worker placement game where players are each going to have their own ship out on the board, and then players are going to have 2 workers to perform their actions. Players are going to be taking turns placing 1 worker at a time, and there's 4 main actions in the game, but you're actually going to be taking 2 at a time, because every time you place your worker, you're going to be able to perform the 2 actions beside your worker in any order that you choose. And I'll just go through what each of those actually do, but the main one is to actually move your ship, and you'll be able to move your ship equal to the amount of movement points that you have for your ship, which you can upgrade by getting more sails onto your own personal player board. You can continue to move up to that many movement points or choose to stop whenever you like, but anytime that you move through a tile that doesn't already have a card revealed beside it, then you're going to be revealing one of those cards, and each of the tiles will have their own deck of cards associated with it. You can also spend your movement points in order to redraw a card if you don't like the one that you got. But if you happen to draw an encounter card, or if you end up moving to a tile that has an encounter card, then you have to stop immediately and you have to resolve that encounter. And I'll come back to how the encounters work, but first let's explain the other 3 actions, because if you stop your movement at a port card, then you can use the port action that allows you to exchange resources for other resources. But if you stopped at a tile with an island card, then you can use the action to explore the island, which will allow you to roll dice in order to try and get the number of stars depicted on that card in order to gain the associated resources. And you always do get 1 die for free, but you'll be able to spend your red cubes in order to add additional dice to your rolls, increasing your chance of success. Final action allows you to either upgrade or repair your ship, but you can only choose to do one of those each time that you perform this action, and you can upgrade your ship by purchasing more sails to increase its movement, or by adding more cannons to increase its firepower. In order to heal your ship, you're going to be repairing any of the planks that you might have lost. And the nice thing about all of this is that the better condition and more upgraded your ship is at the end of the game will be earning you victory points. You can also gain victory points by successfully completing a card at each of the different locations, but you can only do this once per location. You're going to be indicating this on your player board by adding the token to the associated location in the top left corner of your player board. You do also get to keep any of the cards that you completed, and you're going to be storing them on the right hand side of your board here. And for each type that you're able to get 4 or more of, that's going to be gaining you 2 victory points at the end of the game. This means that not only do you want to complete a card at each of the individual locations, but you also want to have an even distribution of the types of cards that you're completing in order to maximize the victory point potential. But like I said, anytime that you're on a tile that has an encounter card revealed beside it, you're going to have to resolve that encounter, and each of these cards is going to have an amount of health indicated in the bottom left corner of the card. And then there's going to be a number of stats in either cannonballs or swords, and there can also be these question mark squares, which mean that you're going to have to roll a die to determine what stat that's going to be. And if you don't want to fight the encounter, you can always avoid it by spending a certain amount of resources, but if you're not able to do that, or if you simply don't want to, then you're going to be resolving the encounter by using dice rolling and rolling a combat die for each of the cannons that you have on your own personal ship. These dice will also be gaining you a number of cannonballs or swords, but you're going to be resolving the cannonballs first. And the way that this works is that you're going to be inflicting the number of cannonballs worth of damage against the card, and it's also going to be inflicting damage on you equal to the amount of cannonballs it has. But if you're able to inflict enough damage to completely wipe out its health, then you have defeated that card and you get to claim it and gain the benefits. But if neither you or the opponent were defeated, then you're going to be continuing to resolve the battle by comparing the number of swords. And it's simply the ship that has the most swords that wins at this point, with ties favoring the opponent's ship. And if you lose here, not only did you take that hit in your health, but you also do have to give up a portion of your resources. But if you're able to defeat the ship, then you will get the resources depicted on that card. But the game continues like this over a series of rounds, and then the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins the game. And if you are interested in this one, you can check it out. I'll have it linked down below.